Prepare yourselves for a musical treat as we tell the stories behind some of our best loved hymns, old and new, and talk to the modern hymn writers following in the footsteps of the greats. Welcome to Songs of Praise.
This week's programme is all about hymnody, the art of hymn writing, and I meet one of Britain's greatest modern hymn writers, Graham Kendrick.
Really, I suppose my main influences are the Baptist hymn book and the Beatles.
Pam Rhodes talks to Roman Catholic hymn writer Bernadette Farrell.
Hymns have to challenge us because to express the gospel in song means then we carry it with us into our lives.
And we have some favourite hymns, including many from this magnificent building, the Royal Albert Hall in London. We begin with one by Isaac Watts, the man known as the father of English hymnody. Now, the great Charles Wesley is reported to have said he would have given up all of his own work just to have written this one piece we're about to hear now, sung by the 5,000 strong congregation at the Royal Albert Hall. I'm about to meet the modern hymn writer who changed the course of Christian music in the UK.
Graham Kendrick was a trailblazer in the 1970s and 80s, but his own hymn writing hero is from the 1800s, which is why I've come to Wesley's Chapel and the Museum of Methodism to meet Graham, whose music is sung by Christians all over the world.
Whose work do you admire in terms of hymn writers?
But Charles Wesley, I think, really comes out for me on top. They are outstanding, hymns. I mean, where would Christmas be without Hark the Herald Angels Sing? Or, you know, these amazing over 1,000 tongues to sing. You know, they still resonate with us today. And I think the reason is because it's the same experience. You know, this man who lived several hundred years ago had this experience of God, and people are still having that experience of meeting God for themselves and coming to faith. It was said of Wesley that when you sang one of his hymns, he was able to have you step into the story. So you were like there, you were like with Jesus and the disciples, you know, in Galilee, with the fishermen, you know, on the lake, that he kind of, with his poetic gift, he could take you into the story and make you feel like you were there. It was your experience.
Now we're about to hear Love Divine. What does that mean to you?
Well, of course, many memories of weddings and even funerals where it's sung. It has that kind of classic, timeless feel about it. I particularly love the way it ends. In fact, I have my very own Baptist church hymnal, which I had when I was a child. It was given to me when I was 7 years old.
It's in great condition.
And yes.
You've been using it
Probably
much?
should have been used more. I don't know. But I love the way the hymn lands on these words: change from glory into glory, till in heaven we take our place, till we cast our crowns before thee, lost in wonder, love and praise. I think in many ways sums up what I'm trying to do as a songwriter, and what Charles Wesley did 1,000 times better than me, to just get us caught up in the wonder of God's love and the wonder of who Christ is.
Catholic hymn writer Bernadette Farrell began composing in the 1970s to try to bridge the gap between traditional hymns and the changing tastes of modern young Christians like herself. And as Pam Rhodes has been finding out, young people continue to inspire her.
Bernadette's hymns often reflect modern challenges such as the protection of the environment and social justice, and she's a big admirer of the achievements of this inner city school in South London.
The word of the Lord. Thanks be to God.
It's a wonderful, diverse community of about 600 girls, There are nearly 50 languages spoken, and prayer is part of the rhythm of the community here in the school and also for big services over at the cathedral.
You write both the words and the music. How does that work for you?
It's an interesting process and it varies a lot. Sometimes it takes a long time. Other times, you're walking out of the door and you get an idea and have to write it down as quick as anything. Some people use computer programs, but I don't. I find by the time I've switched it on, I've lost the idea. So I'm back in the dark ages with pencil and paper. I think, I reflect on the scriptures. Sometimes a melody will come. But I'm never satisfied until the text will stand alone without the melody.
What are you feeling as you write? Is it spiritual?
And that varies enormously. Sometimes it's just sheer frustration. Other times it's very much a focus on the community that I'm serving and that I'm writing for. And I think if I can write for the local situation, then perhaps that will strike a chord occasionally with other people.
You write very singable melodies, but often the words are quite gritty, quite challenging. Should our hymns challenge us?
The hymns have to challenge us because we're called as a community and we sing together. So to express the gospel in song means then we carry it with us into our lives.
How much does the reaction of people who sing your hymns matter to you?
It's very humbling to hear from people who have connected with a hymn or who have found that a song helps them through a particular journey in their lives. Just a few days ago, I heard from a friend who's a chaplain in a high security jail, and he leads the worship there. And he called to tell me that the first time he'd really heard the men singing out loud was in Christ Be Our Light. And I found that incredibly moving, that people who lost everything could still find a way to express their hope. And that's what it's about for me, that we can share and express our Christian hope.